years of President William Ruto's tenure. And of course, the MPs allied to the government in Naivasha during a retreat. They also had a time to listen to what that it is Gachagua was speaking about, and yet again to write a response in regards to that, and then again issue a presser in response to whatever Gachagua was actually alluding to. Now that's a conversation we shall be having right here on the program. And of course, I'm joined by Mr. Matthew Wesonga. It's a familiar face in this conversations on Morning Live. Matthew Wesonga is a coordinator, Bila Break Movement, Kajiado North. Good morning, sir.
Thank you so much, Martin. How are you doing?
I'm doing very great. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you again.
And thank you so much for making time to be with us here this morning.
It's a pleasure.
All right. Just right next to him, I'm joined by Bethwel Barasa, who's a nationalist and aspiring President, Multimedia University. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
And many thanks, of course, for making time to be with us here this morning.
Yeah, I'm so grateful.
All right.
It's a pleasure to work with you.
All right. Thank you so much. So starting getting us, our streams are up on Facebook, YouTube, and you're going to send us your feedback through our SMS line. That is 23059. Of course, I shall be sampling some of your feedback even as we proceed with the program. All right. Now, Mr. Bethwel, let me start with you. Mr. Rigathi Gachagua yesterday, accused President William Ruto, of breaking the very promises that took, him to State House. But what do you make of, the 4 years of President William Ruto in office?
First of all,
yeah.
For me to rate the president's cause does not necessarily mean we are measuring the type of development that he has done, maybe through infrastructure of roads, housing, or economy. We are also looking at the Constitution as a nationalist. Are the core values of the Constitution vetted correctly by the president, who is the main custodian of State House today? And I believe that if we march with that direction, we don't. We must be able to acknowledge the government's achievements without being blind of the weak points that it has been doing for the past 4 years. So today, I believe the government is trying its best. However, we still have a discussion and a debate to go about it when it comes to matters service to the people, when it comes to relations, economy, job opportunities, infrastructure, and respect to the Constitution.
All right. Thank you so much. Fair enough. And of course, this particular day, the 12th day of August 2026, is a day that, the head of state, President William Ruto, actually scheduled to have, a debate and conversation in regards to the Vision 2060, which will be having, those conversations shall be held at KICC this particular morning. Of course, you shall be keeping tabs with that particular conversation and, what it is that they'll be going to discuss in that particular forum, right? Now, Mr. Matthew Wesonga.
Yes.
Regarding Gachagua yesterday during the press accused, the head of state of breaking the very promises that he promised, or that took him to State House. What do you make of Gachagua's statements yesterday?
Thank you, Martin. I think, as you rightfully say, this is not. We've been here for a long time, and you've always said that, Matthew, you are always on the bench, or rather sitting on the fence, as Diambo might put it. And after having a very deep thought, I think it is just right to make a decision. In politics, you either belong to one side, you cannot belong to both sides. And now I've took my stand. Now, on the question, Rigathi Gachagua is one leader that I will not really want to discuss, because the more I discuss Rigathi Gachagua, the more I lose track on where the countries will be heading to. Listening to what Rigathi Gachagua said, Rigathi Gachagua spent almost more than 75% of his time talking about the death of Raila Odinga and that of Joanna Ngeno. Something that when he was in office he could not talk about. But having said what he said yesterday, when President William Ruto got into office, Rigathi Gachagua was the first person to tell Kenyans that when they got into the office, there was nothing in the national in treasury. Actually, to his words, tulipata hii kama kikapu la serikali haina pesa. So, first, he should, having said that word, he should now actually acknowledge what the president have done. Because now if you come into the office and there is absolutely nothing, and now we can see there is something, then in the first place that one should now say that the president is doing something. But whatever the accusations or the allegation made by Mr. Rigathi Gachagua are just hearsays and trying to fit and trying to massage his political ego. So I did not really take whatever Rigathi Gachagua said as the reality, because this is someone who is full of is bitter. Okay, this is someone who already want to bring some kind of divisive politics. We know that for the history of Kenya, and I can tell you, Martin, that sometimes we might not agree with everything, and even Jesus Christ was denied in his hometown. But we have the one, Kenya today, we have the best president, so as to say, compared to the last 4 presidents that we've had. And as my brother says, and I'm happy he's calling himself a nationalist, so to say, and I believe that to uphold the nationality and the unity of a nation, if I'm not wrong, my brother. The President William Ruto, in his first year in office, what he did is to ensure that we have a united country and a very peaceful country. To me, that should now outline everything that Mr. Rigathi Gachagua said. Remember, when President Uhuru Kenyatta took office in 2013, it took him at least 5 years, up to 2018, so that at least we can have a very peaceful country, reach out to the opponent Raila Odinga and other opposition party. But President William Ruto, immediately President William Ruto was sworn in September. He did not even take time, and he reached out to Raila Odinga and others and say, guys, we have a country to build. Let's come out and work together so that we can build a country. And from that gesture, so that President William Ruto is just not only a president, but is a patriotic Kenyans who really uphold the symbol of national unity as the president.
Pretty much.
So to me, despite the fact that we might have our own challenges that maybe we'll discuss, but to me, as my opening speech, to me, that was a quality of a good leader who put the welfare of the country first before his own personal interest.
Pretty much. All right, now I want us to listen in to what Rigathi Gachagua actually had to say yesterday during the presser at the DCP headquarters in Nairobi.
As I issue an accountability statement and performance audit of Mr. William Ruto's administration in the last 4 years, it is not about personalities. It is about evaluating promises with performance, commitments with the delivery, and expectations with outcomes. Patriotic Kenyans, our Constitution recognizes the presidency as an embodiment of national unity, deriving its authority and legitimacy directly from the sovereign power of the people. For this reason, the performance of any administration must always be assessed with honesty, fairness, and fidelity to the facts. Mr. William Ruto premised his manifesto with these words, and I quote, "On August 9, 2022, you'll be called to choose between 2 roads. One leads to constitutional democracy, institutionalized politics, and opening the doors of opportunity to the many. The other takes us back to the imperial presidency, deeper into personalization of power, and to the inevitable and practicable end of economic apartheid that we see so often around the world. The power is in your hands," close quotes. When he was presenting this choice, little did we know that he was presenting the latter. Today, we have an imperial presidency, economic apartheid, and power under a ruthless dictator. 4 years later, today, Mr. William Ruto has betrayed the trust bestowed on him by the people of Kenya, betrayed the fruits and the foundation of our nation that have been built by previous administrations under the various development blueprints such as Vision 2030. He has eroded the democratic gains of multipartyism and swallowed political parties and the then opposition. As he once wondered as deputy president, who is government and who is opposition? He then said it was a mongrel of a government. Today, We have all about personalities. It is about evaluating promises with performance, commitments with delivery, and expectations with outcomes. Patriotic Kenyans, our Constitution recognizes the presidency as an embodiment of national unity, deriving its authority and legitimacy directly from expectations with outcomes. Patriotic Kenyans, our Constitution.
Right, that's what Rigathi Gachagua actually said yesterday during a presser at the headquarters, DCP headquarters. Now, Mr. Bethel Barasa.
Yes.
Rigathi Gachagua says that the government has moved from one grand plan. You'll remember the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, NADCO, 10-point agenda. And of course, is he right when he says that new plans are being used to avoid accountability for old promises?
First of all, I would like to confirm to you that I'm neither a Gachagua spokesman or a Ruto'S supporter. I'm here as an accountable Kenyan.
Okay.
And all these things that happen through the government and in our country, sometimes we usually feel like the government is trying to play a lottery or trying to play a safer card when it is question about accountability.
Yeah.
However, also at the opposition side, they also have to face some criticism, because anytime they bring up something, for example, Gachagua, he was in government for almost 1.5 years.
Yeah.
Why are these allegations now coming in? Why has he become so wise after leaving the government? We Kenyans, we are not here to see political wrangles and critics maybe questioning each other on a particular thing. Starting one, starting two, then someone else comes and question. For us, we want the dignity of the citizens to be responded towards when we are given actions of what their manifestos was all about to protect our country. We are here as a nation. We are here as Kenyan citizens. We want to develop our country. We want to see our country moving forward, not in these retrograde speeches that we are seeing around, trying to start something, then tomorrow we are going to something else.
As circumstances change, or is the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua actually right when he says that the government is actually swaying away from the very promises that it's made to the people?
Thank you. I want to agree with what my brother said, that why is Rigathi Gachagua only wise and right after being impeached? This is the same person, it has not been long ever since Rigathi Gachagua was out of government. I think it's only like 1.5 years. Yeah. He was impeached in 2025, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
2024 actually.
Yeah.
What was he doing between 2022 August to 2024 by the time he was being impeached? Okay? What are some of the transformative measures? Because if actually he did have an impact during that time, I don't think whatever impact that Rigathi Gachagua had could have been really messed up with by the government in just 1 year. It is not making any sense. But now, what is it that all of a sudden, this is the guy that has only become wise all of a sudden? One thing I will tell you is that, Martin, things changes, there are occurrences that can really determine the government policies. There is sometimes that there are measures that the government can take, short-term and the long-term measures, depending on the situation of the country. For instance, we were facing the fuel crisis, okay, just the other day. It was a global factor. There are measures that the government have to take to cushion people from the high cost of living and to ensure that the economy is stable, okay? What I can say is that when President William Ruto got into office in 2022, the main thing that President William Ruto, or the major idea, the biggest agenda of President William Ruto was the bottom-up economic model, the transformative. That basically was to lift the common mwananchi and at least caution them from most of them, give them something sustainable. And we can see that President William Ruto is doing that. The government have really undertaken so many programs to ensure that the targeted group actually are well taken care of. What Rigathi Gachagua is saying, that Rigathi Gachagua is just one guy who trying to look good. I don't know even how to describe him, but Rigathi Gachagua is one thing that is full of himself, and he like to deceive Kenyans, trying to believe. Okay? that is now fighting for the entire nation is the Mr. Right, Mr. I know it all, you know, something that is full of lies, okay? When the president launched the Hustler Fund, many people says that this Hustler Fund will not help Kenyans. But are you sure that it is not helping Kenyans? The problem we have with us Kenyans is that those who complain a lot are actually not doing what they are complaining about. They are actually not even the victims. Let me give you an example, Martin. Yeah. You'll realize the Rigathi Gachagua and the team complaining about SHA not working. Yeah. And some few Kenyans will also believe them. But if you ask those who are complaining about the SHA, 90% have not even registered. 10% who are complaining have registered but actually not even paying the premium. Okay? Others have not even tried to use it. And you'll realize that they are the first people to complain about it. Okay? When President William Ruto introduced the Hustler Fund to give loans to the small hustlers, wale watu wa chini, the boda guys and the mama mbogas. They said now you kopa kidogo kidogo, as you borrow and repay your loans, your limit increases. Okay? And by the end of the day, that was one of the best things to cushion the mama mbogas and the boda guys from the loan silos that are really terrorizing our people. Okay? Those people now, they said this is one of the worst things. But in reality, because Mimi, unajua, some people like us, we talk with people who are on the ground. I can tell you, those who have respectfully borrowed and paid the Hustler Fund are the biggest beneficiaries. I know so many people who are the biggest beneficiaries of the Hustler Fund. Okay? So the main agenda of President William Ruto was the bottom-up economic model. That he says, okay, now we want to have a country that not only the rich enjoys the benefit of the country, but it is now time for us to look at those who have been ignored for the longest period. Okay. And actually, I can tell you that the president have achieved that, even if he must not have achieved it 100%, but he have achieved it to a very good percentage. Okay,
we'll come to that. All right, now, Mr. Barasa, you know, you're speaking on the people's point of view. Now, from where you rate, the scorecard of President William Ruto on, the 4 years that he has been in office, how should someone rate, his tenure? Should we rate him, with public debts, GDP, the cost of living? How should we rate the government?
Rating the government is something that should be done with a systematic acknowledgement. When you look at the household, first of all, you need to look at the household welfare of Kenyan citizens. Currently, being a president is not all about constructing, as I said. Being a president is being the sole hand for the Kenyans. And you see, currently, the most important thing for a common mwananchi is not a road, is the welfare at his home. And number two, when you're talking about GDP, yes, inflation might have fallen, but inflation might have fallen, but are there sustainable commodities for Kenyan citizens for the current time? When you're talking about GDP, maybe the GDP of the country might have been fixed, but are there job opportunities for the youths and the students who have just graduated from universities? And are there proper jobs, not just jobs like how one of our leaders was saying that where the young people should go to the army and maybe the mjengo sector? Are there good jobs according to the system that our academics has comprehended us for? Now, you see, when again we are talking about how my friend was saying that from the bottom up to, we have come from bottom up. We went to Singapore. Now we are going to Vision 2060. Now look at our country right now. All these things is about aspiration. What type of institution are we holding in our country? Are we going concurrently with our constitution? Are we protecting the dignity of our Kenyans? Now, look, we as Kenyan citizens, we always desire to have change in our country, as I said before. But this change in our country is something that it takes time. It takes adaptability. So if we don't have a leader who can adapt to our needs, then it becomes a problem. We might have the best development in the country. But again, all these developments that are coming, they're only coming up as shiny projects to build someone's PR. You see, when you are having a stadium, which was audited to be around 35 point something billion, and then the Auditor General comes out and says that the amount of money that was audited for the stadium is almost 45 billion. That's a difference of almost 10 point something. We're not saying that there's a lot of somebody took the money, but where is this precision of accountability to the Kenyan citizens who are the taxpayers? And remember, all these things are being carried forward as debts in the country. For 15 years, we're going to pay almost 115 billion to a foreign agency because of something that was put in place as a shiny equipment. But when you look at the country right now, the education system is, for example, currently the government is owning private universities 58 billion Kenyan shillings, starting from Technical University of Kenya. It is being followed by Catholic University of Eastern Africa. Then you go to KCA University. Why shouldn't we not fix the welfare of Kenyan citizens? Kenyan citizens deserve better systems like educations. We acknowledge how the medical facility is being taken by the cabinet secretary, where SHA is working. However, all these things they are not determined by what is being done. It is what are we getting as Kenyan citizens from all the values that are being given.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, now, Mr. Matthew Wesonga, you're looking at, Mr. Rigathi Gachagua is actually, playing charm offensive, but you spoke about the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. President William Ruto, promised, the better transformation agenda that will prioritize, ordinary Kenyans. And one then asks the question then, what would you say, has worked, what has failed, and where has the government fallen short?
First, before I say that, let me first tell my brother here that you said that we started from the bottom up to Singapore to Vision 2060. I believe when you are in Form 1, your dream was to do your KCSE and maybe get a good grade. When you got in the good grade, you go to university. Okay. In year 1, I don't know which year you are, but I think when you are in year 1, you've not maybe thought of vying for the presidency. Yeah. Now you are.
Yeah.
All have visions.
Yeah.
What is wrong with the government having its own vision? If we say, now let's go for the bottom up, and now we see bottom up is working now, let's look at what Singapore did. We are on the road to Singapore. And we say, okay, now this is what we do. And we now sit back and say, what will be our country in the next 30 years? Vision 2060. What is wrong with that? Okay. Or do you still stick to that vision you were when you were in Form 4?
You see, visions should be implemented fully. You understand? Visions should be implemented fully. For example, when you're talking about Vision 2030...
No, I was just saying that one you'll answer. Now, what I'm trying to say, and also you say that the dignity of the people, okay? One of the steps the government did to ensure that every Kenyans live a dignified life is to bring in the affordable housing program. Not only was this going to give dignity to those who are living in informal settlement, but this was also going to open up job opportunities for our youths. Those who are working in this affordable housing across the country are not foreigners, they are Kenyans. Those who supply materials in those affordable housing are Kenyans. They are businessmen and women of this country. So how then do we say that is not an opportunity for them? Let me tell you one thing, and it is good we are living here in Nairobi, okay? If today you go and you log into your phone and go to bomayangu.com and you'll realize how much you'll be paying. And I can even tell you as a young man of this country, if you, instead of hii nyumba yetu yenye tunaishi, my friend, register for the affordable housing because it will give you value for your money. Okay? You know the value of houses in this Nairobi. Why do you call it housing? You cannot compare what someone paid under the affordable housing program to what I paid. Okay? Where you come from? We come from Rongai, I believe. Sindio? In Rongai, one bedroom houses go between 10,000 up to 15,000. But that one you want to pay when you are living in an affordable housing, but you're living in a very secure, decent place. Now, that was one of the first steps that the government have done to give a dignified life to every single Kenyans. Something that I realized, I was even surprised. Someone saying that affordable housing is not, it's something that should be done away with. One of the leaders that I was very surprised, we want to become the president of this country, okay, says that if given an opportunity, the first thing he was going to do is to do away with the SHA, the universal health coverage. In the first 48 hours after being elected, is to ensure that the over 20 million Kenyans that have registered and benefited from the SHA program are now, he is going to do away with that. What vision do you have for this country? Okay, and that's why I'm telling you, Martin, that if I look at this, regarding Gachagua and the team, from where I see it, and the main reason that why I did make a decision and say, look, guys, it's come a time whereby our country, we must put the country and the welfare of our country first. And from my own evaluation, I say this president has got the best interest for this country. If the united opposition says they don't even value the health of every single citizen, then what business do you have becoming the president? Okay. Saying that now, giving elected, the first thing I'm going to do is to ensure that Kenyans does not get the universal health coverage. If you compare what Kenyans were getting under the NHIF and what the SHA is giving, SHA is better off. Okay, and even majority of Kenyans have really registered to this. And I said this, Martin, those majority of those who are complaining have actually not even taken any single initiative into any program by this government. But they are busy, and they are busy lying to Kenyans, telling to Kenyans every day, every now and then that these things are not working. Okay. Take the initiative first, go register first. Try to use it, then complain later. Okay? So I think as it is now, where we are as a nation, we must have not achieved the much we need to achieve. But now, the entire blame cannot only rest with President William Ruto. President William Ruto has only been the president for the last 4 years. Okay? We must also go back and every citizen of this country, like my brother here who says is a nationalist, and something that I really love, because now, you know, when people like him talk, and we must have many people like him, because now they don't belong to any political affiliation, but they reason from a perspective of a better Kenya. Yeah. You must also put into consideration the previous regimes. Okay. Where did this problem started from? What the president is trying to do now is to correct the wrongs, some of the wrongs and the injustices that have been done by the previous regimes. Okay. So we cannot put the entire blame on the current regime. Fair enough.
Now, Mr. Songa, you alluded to what has worked in this, bottom economic transformation agenda. Yes. Because promises are made, are made to be implemented. Yes. And of course, you alluded to, affordable housing and healthcare. So, what hasn't worked? What has failed? And where has the government actually fallen short?
Okay, one of the biggest challenges the government is facing, and something that the president is really fighting for, is number one is the corruption within the government. That is something that I can say that we've totally dealt with. That is one of the biggest challenges we are facing, and in order to curb that, the president have really given the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission the independence they require to deal with the corruption. Okay? Yeah. The big question is, how well are they handling that? Yeah. Because that is one of still the biggest challenges we are facing. And again, to say what has not worked, that we are saying, I realize that many people are complaining on the extrajudicial killing. Yeah. One thing you should know is that the president did give the independence to the police. Now the police, the previous regime, the police, the budget of the National Police Service was strictly under the office of the presidency. And when the president took over office, he said, you look, guys, the National Police Service need to work as an independent institution so that they can carry out their duty without any political interference. Okay? And as such, the accounting officer for the National Police Service should be the Inspector General of Police. And the president did implement that. Okay, even though the government might be still facing some challenges by the rogue officers and the rogue individual within the government, but we have the institution within the government that are supposed to deal with that.
Yeah.
And when they fail to do their duty, sometimes people like my brother here, you should ask your constituent and ask themselves, what is your member of parliament doing in this? Because sometimes also our member of parliament are partly to be blamed. Okay? So let us not always blame the president in everything, even in the field of our own member of parliament. And I always said in this show, Martin, if we don't take responsibility of our own mistakes, then we'll blame others for our own failures. And that is exactly what is happening. We always blame the president of the failure, some of the failure that we, or rather those who are given the duty to carry out some of the duties, are the problem. If today the president or the ECACC will now take someone to court because of corruption-related cases, and apparently that individual is affiliated to the opposition, the people will now start going to the street and say, you know, you are targeting us.
Okay, pretty much. Now, Mr. Barasa,
yes,
Mr. Song is actually alluding to, you know, not actually, you know, put the blame entirely on, you know, the head of state, but the Mwananchi, from where you sit, you know, the Mwananchi will say that, you know, the head of state should be is elected there to be the panacea of the grievances of the Mwananchi. Now, from where you sit, and as a nationalist, and you know, from the people's point of view, how would you credit the bottom-up economic transformation agenda that the head of state actually promised in his manifesto when he was coming to power in 2022?
I would like to start from where he said that affordable housing given dignity.
Yeah.
It is okay for people to have a roof on top of their heads.
Yeah.
But where is the security of Kenyans? If, for instance, what happened in Olkalau the other day, where we are seeing police officers escorting goons to where local Mwananchis are participating in their democratic right, is that dignity that we're talking about in our country? Is that what you want in our country? We are talking about, so when did the government, you know, come to settle on this, that we should focus on housing projects more than building of classrooms. Okay, they have invested in hostels in various institutions. But where did the government come and say that why should we not invest in classrooms and invest in education system? Invest in youth-led opportunities for our people, so as to transform our nation. Now, you see, when you're talking about the better the transformation from the president, you know, we are not here to defend or to go against the president. First of all, we need to know that the president is the custodian of State House, and State House is where each and every decision that each and every signature or policy must be passed through, so as to put Kenyans into a very effective position to survive into the country. So I'll never blame the president, and I'll never go against the president. However, we need to criticize some weak points that we are experiencing as a nation. Currently, the country is not at a very good state to even comment on certain development that is happening. When you are looking at Kenyans desperately living in the streets, and then you are talking about housing, do the children in the streets, can the children in the streets access those housing? Was it a donation to them? Was it supposed to be a donation to them? Or now these children should go and work? Now we are talking about also this investment. You see, each and every county has been given a platform by our constitution through devolution. Now each and every county needs to have a proper allocation. Yesterday, while we were talking about the Vision 2060 with the Member of Parliament of Keses, he was saying that each and every financial year, county governments receive almost 500 billion for development. Why is our government not going after these counties that are not well performing? For example, there was a trending thing about the physical allocation of Kilifi County, and we can look at the recent allocation of Kajiado County, where the government only spent 9% of its budget. So all these things are being questioned by Kenyan citizens. That where is our security of our taxes? Where is our personal security of our own welfare? How should we survive along this tenure where we are having a president who is saying that we are doing this, and again, but as Kenyans, we are feeling like sisi ni kama tunadalilishwa in the name of someone is having power, when according to the constitution with Article 1, we are the people who should be having this power. It is just that we have donated our obligation into one individual.
Okay, fair enough. And Mr. Songa,
if you'll allow me respond to what my brother Baraza said. I've noted with keen interest that my brother here have got a very key interest on education and the ministry. I would love to tell you that for the last financial year, for the last 2 financial year, that is 2025, 2026, 2027, the Kenya Kwanza government under President William Ruto have actually allocated the highest allocation of 700 billion in 2025-2026 and 784 billion to the Ministry of Education. You can verify, okay? That will always tell you how much the president is interested to invest in the education in this country. And you should also know that ever since President William Ruto took over in 2022, he has actually employed over 100,000 teachers. And even as we speak, there are teachers that are under, he has also introduced, what do we call it? Teachers are being paid. What do we call it? They are not fully employed. Please give me this word.
Interns.
Yeah, thank you. He has really even actually introduced the internship to teachers. You know what was happening before? How getting employed, getting national. My brother is a teacher, and I can tell you the stress they underwent for them to get employed by the government. But my brother will tell you that the president have really taken a very key interest in the education sector, and he has really invested much on the matter of the oversight and accountability. This is what I will say. You know, and as I said earlier, when money is allocated to the county government, what is the role of the MCA? What are they doing? Because we have MPs. You say that we delegate these powers. We have MPs. Okay? How have you, a member of parliament, you know, when you talk of Kenyans and when you talk of voters as nationalists, my brother, you should also ask question that now we give you the tax to oversight the government. You, member of my parliament, Mr. Onesmus Gogoyo, before you come and climb on top of your car and start shouting 1 term and 2 term, how well have you executed your duty and your oversight role as a member of parliament or as a member of county assembly? But what do these people do? They always shift the blame to the president. When they fail to oversight their duties, they shift the blame. Okay? He says that in Kajiado. Okay? Today, I think it's this week. Was it this week or last week? I saw some failed MCAs. Those who have done completely nothing. Because if you are a student in MMU, then you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, shifted to DCP.
Those who have done completely nothing, shifted to DCP. Why? Because they can now come back, deceive people, get re-elected, failed again, then blame the president.
Okay.
That's why I was saying, Martin, before we blame the president, let us also take the position of the blame as the people. Okay? And let us also sit back and say, the president, as I said, the president must have not done much. But you ask yourself, when it's come to the issues of accountability, when it's come to the issues of oversight of the public funds, there are people that we've given the mandate to do that duty. How well have they done their own duty? Okay? But when you are a member of parliament, the best they can do, and I will tell you this, in 2024, and the Gen Zs will remember this, those who voted for the finance bill in 2024, okay, those who the youth of this country felt that they were betrayed by the same member of parliament are today back on top of their voices singing 1 term. Okay? They are the same individual. Led by my own member of parliament, the Kajiado North member of parliament. Today they are on top of their voices singing 1 term. What changed? Or are they just trying to come up and deceive us again and say, you know, blame the president and everything? The president is doing whatever it takes. If the president have allocated 784 billion this current financial year to the Ministry of Education, it say now this amount is allocated to this department, higher education, the universities, the TVETs, you know, everything. The allocation is already done, the money is released. Okay? What else do you want the president to do? The president, we have the TAC. So the president, and if the president cannot now dictate who is employed and who is not employed. Okay? They must also give the independency of each and every institution to carry out their duty. And when one institution fail to carry out their duties, then we should not blame the president. And I can say that in this case, one of the institutions that the people of Kenyans should pay keen interest in is this institution called Parliament. Don't just elect someone into Parliament or to the county assembly because they can shout one term or Ruto must go the loudest, as it is the case now. Those who are making noise outside here, Martin, I will tell you, they are the same people who have betrayed this country. They are the same people who they know nothing and they don't have the interest of this country. They are very selfish leaders who the only thing they can say is to tell Kenyans one time and blame President in everything, including what has not happened in their places. I will tell you this. In Ongatarongai, what? The president, you can actually tell what the president and the national government has done in Kajiado North. But you can barely tell what the county government has done in the same constituency. Okay? In Ongatarongai, I don't know which word you come from. The government, to promote the local businessmen, the government have built 2 markets. I think you know that. The government have built roads to ensure that there is, those roads that have been installed, that have stalled for so many years, they are being done right now. Their contractors are on the ground. Okay? But now, because to satisfy their selfish ego, your good member of parliament will come up again and shout on the top of their voices one time. You have failed MCAs. Now jump ship to a DCP with a favor, and I was being told that they are even threatening the DCP party leader, and for this I will advise Gachagua, even though I don't agree with him in many cases, but I will tell them, don't give free tickets, more so to those failed MCAs from Kajiado, because they will even fail you. Okay? As much as I don't agree with Rigathi Gachagua, but for this I will advise him. Don't even accommodate those failed MCAs. You are already tainted, so don't allow more dirt on your side. They will even make you more dirty. So Martin, I think from where I sit is that the president have really undertaken what the president has done in 4 years cannot even be compared to what the previous regime have done in the last 10 years. And if we want to give a clear comparison, let us compare the first 4 years of President Mwai Kibaki, the first 4 years of President Uhuru Kenyatta, and the first 4 years of President William Ruto. Then you and I will see who have performed better than who. Pretty much.
All right. I want us to take a look on the response that the MPs alleged to the head of state actually had to respond in regards to the pressure that Rigathi Gachagua made yesterday.
It is ironical that the man purporting to speak about security is on record to mobilize members of outlawed gangs to protect churches, political rallies, and polling stations. And you have heard yourselves, Mr. Rigathi, even on media interviews, telling Kenyans that hata sisi hatujabeba watoto kwa migongo. And this is his way of telling and mobilizing the Mungiki goons that he has been mobilizing to attack Kenyans. And we want to ask him, isn't this goonism? Rigathi is Kenya's chief goon, Kenya's goon number 1. Have we forgotten how 2 years ago he mobilized his fellow goons to invade Northlands Farm, belonging to the Kenyatta family, destroyed property, stole sheep belonging to Mama Ngina, a widow and our nation's very first lady. This is what the goonism and anarchy that Gachagua continues to perpetuate today then runs to cry foul and crying louder than the bereaved. In particular, he has been very consistent in the last few days, alleging that there were guns stolen from Kikuyu police station. In fact, those firearms were stolen in the demonstrations in 2025, organized by Rigathi himself. Rigigun is a disgrace to this country. In this demonstration, Rigigun organized for the torching of Dagoretti police post. The Kikuyu administrative offices, including the office of the DCC, the county government offices, not to mention the NGCDF offices that he had organized to be burnt the year before.
Right. The Kenya Kwanza MPs actually accused Rigathi Gachagua of, maligning, state institutions and security agencies. But isn't there also a danger, in dismissing, every criticism of government institution, as a political propaganda? Right. Now, Mr. Barasa, what do you make of the remarks made by Majority Leader, National Assembly?
First of all, it is always good for leaders to call themselves accountable.
Yeah.
However, I'll go with this direction first. That we are starting by Honorable Rigathi Gachagua coming out and calling the government which he was working with.
Yeah.
Forgetting he has not told us of his successes, while Kimani Ichung'wah is telling us about his failures. So again, it brings a rhetoric question. Why should you come to criticize a boss that had given you a job?
Yeah.
While you were there, you said nothing about the successes.
Yeah.
However, you used to be so political about it. And again, after what he has said, we live in a country where we are protected by the Constitution. If what he said is right, let it go direct to investigation.
Yeah.
Let us find evidence, and accountability should be followed up upon. Whatever the MPs did was all about, again, protecting their political interest under the broad-based government arrangement.
Yeah.
And they came out in support of the president, because for them they feel that the president has been doing more than what Gachagua is commending.
Yeah.
And all these things around Gachagua, we really get pissed off, because one, it is traumatizing Kenyans. How is it traumatizing Kenyans? We people are living in a country where we only hear about people being killed. You understand? We are getting anxious, because where is our security if our own leaders are being killed?
Yeah.
How about us normal citizens who only live behind a padlock? And when something happens, we have to rush the police station and write a statement for almost 48 hours so that we can get justice. So if we are living in this type of political exchange, and we are not focused on vision as a nation, then there is nowhere that we shall be going, because we are going to end up in a position where we are having a bitter conflict among ourselves, and this is going to lead to division of the Kenyan citizens and their voices. And this could be something very risky for our nation, more so to our national unity, because again, when you find that all these allegations are being brought up because of politics, then our politicians are doing the wrong thing in our country.
Yeah.
We have people who are focused with being I'll use the word plumbocrats, where they eat from where they benefit from, but they eat forgetting that there are people who gave them this power through the voting, and they should be serving these people. For them, they come out calling all these pressers to protect their own interest, both from the opposition side and both from the government side. Okay. So let us stop all this. The leaders need to stop all these things. Our Kenyans are suffering. My friend was talking about input and allocation. My friends, we are having a bigger budget input, but we're not seeing the outcome clearly. We have to agree on that. Yeah. We leaders need to come and leaders need to sit down analyze what they're doing for the country. Our country needs to develop. We are talking about Vision 2060. Are we still going to talk about Vision 2060 when you are having such nuisance activities happen between a team gives a presser 1 minute, then another team comes to respond? When we have things that we need to talk about, we have projects that are still standing, they are not continuing. Okay. And I'd like to go with him. I've been someone who has been very close to the affordable housing contractors. If we speak right now, most of the affordable housings are standing still. They are not continuing because there has been delay in allocation of funds into their projects. So if we're going to continue having these conflicts around our leaders, instead of talking of matters that should correspond to our nation, universities are still waiting for allocation. As you're talking today, most university students are going, for example, the government the other day rolled out that they are going to scrap the scholarship program. Understand? Now they want to introduce the loans. These things have not been implemented, but MPs are having time to come and give a press of someone who is saying, because he said about the death of Honorable Ngeno, the death of Raila, you know. Also the other side of Rigathi Gachagua. Let us stop this bitter politics. Let us focus with objectives. Let us focus with vision. We have a country to build and we have the people to protect here.
Okay. Yeah. Let us focus on policies and ideologies, Mr. Wesonga.
Yes.
And yesterday you actually saw over 50 MPs actually came out from a retreat, a plenary retreat in Naivasha to respond to Mr. Gachagua. That means that, you know, they were listening to, you know, the 1 hour and 30 minutes press of Honorable, you know, the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And from my seat, what does, you know, such a coordinated political response tell you about the level of tension within the ruling camp?
I won't say it is tension. You know, a good government, and I will agree with my brother here, that a good government is that which listens. And we will agree that there is no any president who listens to people more than President William Ruto. You remember at the height of the demos, during the 2027 demos, the president says, now let's sit down and talk. Okay? He says, he first given a suggestion that now let's get youth, 10 per county, you come to Nairobi, we will facilitate your transport and accommodation, you come, let's sit down and talk. The youth says, no, we will not come. Let's do it on X space. He said, yes, let's go there and talk. Okay? So even yesterday, when those MPs were listening, they were not listening because there is tension within the government. But as you said, you know, Martin, I cannot see what is in my bag. And if my brother here tell me, Matthew, you look, there is something in your bag, then it is only proper for me to listen. Because if I don't, then maybe nitatembea huko watu waanze kunicheka. So when the government was listening to Rigathi Gachagua, it was not because there is tension in the ruling coalition or in the government, but there was now having the hope that maybe Rigathi Gachagua can now behave like a national leader that we expect from him. Or now he will now challenge the government. I like it from the perspective of my brother here saying now, even when we argue from the ideology perspective. You tell me, now we appreciate. He says now that he did acknowledge that there is affordable housing. Okay? But now, with the affordable housing, there is a problem with the allocation. People are not receiving their funds. Now we say, okay, now let us tackle that problem. Okay? But he's not saying that now let's do away with the affordable housing. You know, that is a very big difference. The affordableness there is the right thing. But now, as we implement the affordable housing, let's improve in this part. He again acknowledged that we've actually allocated the highest allocation in the education sector. But now, the allocation is just not enough. Let's also accompany it with this. That is when the government, that is what a listening government does, Bwana Martin.
Okay.
When the government listened to Rigathi Gachagua, it was listening to Rigathi Gachagua with the hope, okay, that maybe he will say something that can benefit the nation. And the response come out as a sign that now, when the government, a listening government, will also not allow people like Rigathi Gachagua to continue misleading this country.
Okay.
So at sometimes when we see that Rigathi Gachagua is going to mislead this country and take us back to where we've come from in the eras of 2007, and the post-election violence every election year, then it is only right for the government to respond and take any precaution measures so that we don't find ourselves in a situation where we don't want to go back to.
All right.
So I think the response was not as out of fear or some discomfort within the government, but was just as a response to tell Kenyans, don't be misled by this man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Now, gentlemen, let's talk about the Vision 2060 because, the head of state will be going this morning, I believe, will be going to have a conversation in regards to the Vision 2060 at KICC. Of course, they'll be going to chart the way forward for the country beyond Vision 2030. Now, Mr. Bethel Barasa, the president has described this as, the most consequential national conversation since 2010 constitution. But are we inviting Kenyans to yet another long-term conversation while the very challenges that the people face actually remain unimplemented?
First of all, I would like to commend the president on the Vision 2060. It's a good programmatic idea that it brings the weight to the youths. Yeah. We youths are the people who will benefit from the Vision 2060, and not the people who are 50 years and above. So when you're talking about the Vision 2060, this is another law. However, this is another law that is being signed into our country. And all these things, when you look at our current government, we are facing we are having a very physical debt to the outside. You're not saying that the country should not seek should not borrow financial support. Yeah. We are saying that we are carrying forward a very big financial debt to our nation. And when you want to support a vision like a Vision 2060, we need to formulate on implementations and things that could help us solve the situation that we're having in our country. Yeah. Remember, in our country, we still have unemployment. When you say unemployment, it doesn't mean that each and every Kenyan should have a job. Yeah. It means that the quality of jobs that you're having today, people are complaining because they feel that, one, the government is overtaxing them. True or false? And through this overtaxation is making their living standards to be low. That is what most people are saying on the ground. We might be talking from the policy side, but what is the voice of these vulnerable Kenyans? We are also having problems with development. Yeah. We are having infrastructure that are still standing still for the past 2 years. Maybe some were inherited from the previous regime. So how does all this carry forward to our vision? Yeah. And we need a vision that brings solutions, not bringing another problem. Okay. When we live in a country that we already have so many problems, but we don't have decisive solutions. In our Vision 2060, our leaders should give us a way forward on how we can correct on our messes that we are having. And our message that we are having is that the welfare of our Kenyan citizen is not at the right hand, of course. Okay. Even though we have a government that listens, each and every person should have a leader that listens. Even the opposition side, they listen to the people. Okay. The government side also listen to the people. But now, when we are listening to our people, we don't mean that we're going now to send some overweight to them. We're not going to bring something that again will bring depression onto the Kenyan citizens. Okay. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Matthew Wesonga.
Yes.
Vision 2030 is yet to be fully achieved. Yeah. Does it really make sense we start having conversation on a new charter while, before delivering on the promises on the previous one?
If you are to get married at 28 and you are 28 and you are not yet married, does that mean that you won't get married? No, you will. This is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Charting the Vision 2060, we must not only think of today, but we must have a broader thinking and what our country would be. Okay? What is enshrined in the Vision 2060 is very different from what we have in Vision 2030. In the Vision 2060, we are looking at a stable GDP, a high stable GDP, okay? A high-tech infrastructure, the sustainability of our people, okay? That is the main core of our Vision 2060. Okay? And as my brother says, you know, they say, when things are not going good, when things are not going right, then you say, come, let's reason together. And when things are going the right way, it's also right to say, come, let's reason together and see how we can sustain what we have now. Yeah. And now the president has really started, the presidency has given out, and that's why I'm saying we have the best president, and as Kenyans, let us support our president. Okay? The president now introduced the Vision 2060. Martin, and the first thing he says, I'm not the monopoly of knowledge. Now, this is the vision I have for this country. But for us to achieve this, let us walk this journey together. Today, as we speak, he's going to start the journey at KICC, speaking with Kenyans across the 47 counties. What else do we need? It is only right that as Kenyans, we give out our views, we say it, and I will urge our youth, like my brother Baraza here, to partake and be part of such kind of program so that you can give your ideas and say, Mr. President, this is what we need to give priority and this is the right way to do. When we talk about the unemployment, as he's saying, okay, he can tell you, the president, this is the best way we can handle unemployment. And we have a very listening president. But you don't now, we should stop this character of complaining from January to December. Only we focus on the negative side of everything. We oppose everything and we even oppose ourselves, like Rigathi Gachagua. You only believe that the only right person is you. The other person is not right. No. We have the listening president, and I believe that as we begin the journey and the discussion and the conversation around the Vision 2060, this Vision 2060 will be achieved. And this Vision 2060 is not for the current regime. Okay. It's not for the current leadership. Okay. Some of those who we see in power today might not even be alive to see the Vision 2060. But the President William Ruto is paving a path for the youth and the children of our children of this country. Pretty much. Those who are 1 month today old will be 32 years in Vision 2060. Okay. So what the president is doing now is just paving a way for the kids born today, so that by the time they are 30 and they are now be seeking elective positions and be talking about the welfare, they can come and appreciate what President William Ruto have done for this country. Okay. Now, Mr. Barasa, you know, the head of state, President William Ruto, has been touting time and again that we need to unite Kenyans across the board. But one then asks the question, is Kenya politically united to sustain, this generational agenda?
You know, all these things need to happen through public participation. Public participation is where, because they say that unity comes from a similar ideology. The Vision 2060 brings Kenyans together, and it is going to generate a lot of knowledge from public participation, if that one is taken with serious note. Because, our unity is not all about coming together to elect. Yeah. Our unity is also when we sit down with our leaders and advise each other according to the course and the direction that we should take. So whatever the implementations that whatever the president or the leaders will come up with, it should go direct to what the Kenyan citizens advise to, and it should be followed by proper institutions. Yeah. It should also be followed by finances, because each and everything is about resources. Number three, accountability. If we don't have accountable leaders who are only there focused with leapfrogging and participating in corruption rather than development, we shall never have a proper system towards the Vision 2060. This could just, we all dream of having, as I said, Singapore, it's not we are dreaming to be like Singapore. It is a motivation for Kenya to become a better country. And it only becomes a better country when we sit down as Kenyan people, as leaders with same ideologies, values and ethics, and come up with something that can transform our country. Okay. And let us stop all this politics that is happening in our country. It is we are talking about Vision 2060, and you are still talking about that we are still talking about this one kill BCD. Mount Kenya is gone away from you. Western region must produce if we are still talking about these things, it is okay to participate in multi-party democratic country, and that is what our our constitution has allowed us to. But let each and every political party have an idea also to supplement this vision, because Kenya will always remain. A leader might die today, but Kenya must always remain. And the values of our country is that our ideas is what put us together. Even the most uneducated people have something to say about our future.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Mr. Matthew Wesonga,
yes.
Kenya has had development blueprints since independence, but one then would ask them, why are we, continuing discussing potential instead of results?
Today, as we are not discussing potentials.
Because one would say Vision 2030, one would say, should have better education, better healthcare. The local mwananchi should be able to afford, a meal on the table. The cost of living. Why are we still, having conversation in regards to, revolving all these things: education, healthcare, cost of living?
Martin, when you say healthcare, when we say why can't we have access to healthcare, then I will tell you we do. Already we have the SHA. And the president did say that everybody can register. Okay? And what many people does not know with the SHA is that when you're registered with the SHA, it will tell you, ile ya kitambo, the NHIF, it was affixed. You pay this amount. But now, SHA, you pay SHA according to your income. Okay? And even if you are that vulnerable, the government will pay for you. Okay? You don't have to pay. But now you will get the quality health care. Yeah. Then that's what the health issues. Okay? The problem is that, the government cannot even come and register you. You as a person, you must also take an initiative to do whatever needs to be done. You go to school, my friend, you have to wake up and go to class. Even if you have the best teacher, even if your lecturer must be, but you have to wake, you must take an initiative. It's true. You cannot just sit and sleep all day, then you wake up in the morning and start blaming your lecturer and you expect to pass. Martin, you've gone through this thing. You have to wake up and at least put an initiative. So when the government says that now we are our health, we need to transform our health sector. Okay. The government have introduced the SHA. It is now upon the citizen.
Now, leave alone the SHA. We've seen, health workers strike, especially for the better part of, some 2 weeks ago. We've seen lecturers strike. We've seen, whatever is happening in schools. Yes. Leave alone, SHA and the funding model in hospitals.
Yes.
What is happening in the health sector in terms of equipments in hospitals, in terms of, workers' welfare and education and in healthcare?
Those who are striking were the employees of the county government. They were under county government. Wale wenye walikuwa na strike. Yes. They were complaining about the unpaid salary from the county government, not from the national government. And
then implemented CBAs.
Yes. But so then why do we why do then want to transfer the problem of a governor of Mabe? But
we're talking about...
Why then do we have to say, if Governor Gladys Wanga have failed the healthcare workers in Omabe, how that become the President William Ruto? How then do we blame President William Ruto in that?
Mr. Songa, we're talking about Vision 2060.
Yes,
for the country.
But no, yes, and that is why I'm saying in the Vision 2060. The one thing I will tell you, Martin, we have devolved functions. We have the devolved government and the national government. Yeah. Those functions that fall under national government, okay? If a county government worker decided to strike because he has not been paid by that county government, let's pick for example, if health workers in Kajiado County strike, is that the same problem in Nairobi County? No. Then why do we blame the governor of Nairobi when the governor of Kajiado has not paid his employees? Okay, so I think sometimes when we blame, when we take blames, let us not blame president on everything, even on our failed and corrupt governors back in our rural counties.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying what the national governments have undertaken is to ensure that each and every household, each and every Kenyans can access. Okay. Quality health care, okay, and when it's come to the payment of our nurses, actually those who are demonstrating the other day were the nurses, if I'm not wrong. I saw it somewhere in the news yesterday, okay. There were not nurses across the entire country. There were nurses from Homa Bay County, if I'm not wrong, that were complaining of unpaid revenue, wages. They were not hawakulipwa salary. So now that is a village problem that Governor Gladys Wanga should handle before he make noise. She make noises and start saying so many things.
Okay.
And again, on the education sector, I think, we might not, and as I said earlier, Martin, let us achieve the little effort we've made, even as we look forward to achieve the better things that we intend to achieve.
Okay.
What the government has done, let us appreciate first what the government has done. I do agree that sometimes we might face challenges, let's say with the disbursement of cars and such things, and from time and again we might see strike from the lecturers and other workers. It is normal. Yeah. Salary do delays, even in our own local arrangement.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so I think that one should not, just one instant, should not be taken like now. That is how normally things do happen.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but let us first appreciate what the government is doing.
Fair enough.
Okay, the government has really, this government, the Kenya Kwanza government, has really invested a lot in the education sector compared to the previous government.
Okay.
And some of the problem we are facing right now were not just created by this regime. We were trying, this government is trying even to correct the wrongs that were done by the previous regime. And this, in correcting this wrong, it might not be done overnight, Martin. Let us give time for the government to implement fully its program.
Okay. Now, Mr. Barasa,
Yes.
from a nationalist point of view, why are we still talking about potential instead of results?
We are talking about potential instead of results because our leaders are very lazy. Very lazy. They focus on the trends more than national development. They focus with the exchange and political affiliations instead of our national cohesion. They focus with the exchange in a lot of vulgar wars or getting into their rooftops instead, because they fear that when you are talking about development, we ask for one thing, accountability. True or false? They fear that we ask for accountability. He was talking about the current member of county assembly in Rongai, whom I am well versed with, even though we are not friends. When he changed his, this guy, most people in Rongai are complaining about hikes of prices of public transport. True or false? People are complaining about lack of proper waters from the ward level. People are complaining about the roads that have been given. But these people, they cannot come out to talk about this development side. They only want to talk about their political life. And I'm being told that he was laughing joyously on his status, saying that sisi ndio wenye party, sisi ndio nini. These people are focused with that. They fear accountability. And that is what you are lacking. Kenya right now lacks a leader. We don't have leaders in our country. In fact, we have street noisemakers. We have people who are even distracting us. In fact, these people are depressing us. These people just need, all of them need to go, or they need to settle down and focus with a certain agenda. And this agenda should be about transforming our country.
Okay, fair enough. Now, Mr. Songa, even as you wind up, being the 12th day of August 2026, the head of state is actually scheduled to have a conversation at KICC in regards on talks about Beyond Vision 2030 and, of course, the Vision 2060. Now, from my seat, what should the Mwananchi expect from this conversation that they have not had before?
Okay, I think the president, from today, the president is just going to give an highlight on what the Vision 2060 entails. and also going to invite every Kenyans to give their views.
Yeah.
It is like, my brother said that these things will be done through public participation, which is one of the requirements in our constitution. And what the president is doing today is actually part of the public participation. Yeah. The president tells Kenyans now, we have the vision 2060. 2030 is already here with us, okay? But now let's think ahead. And this is what I have for you. Give us your views. So it is only important for every single Kenyan, more especially our youth, because this vision 2060 will actually touch mostly, and the biggest beneficiaries will be our youth now, whatever to our 20s and 30s, okay? They will be the biggest beneficiaries in this. So I think my message to Kenyans would be, let us take keen interest and listen to what the president has to say, and always give our views, because by the end of the day, we all want a better Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Barasa, your parting shot, even as you wind up, in regards to the 4 years on President Ruto's tenure, and as well as the conversation on 2060.
Let the infrastructure development continue. Let it not be left to another government. If he feels he's the right leader of the country, people will debate with that when it comes to 2027. However, with the remaining years that we have, let us a little show support to our current government. Let them work for what they had started, and also let them work on the accountability that we entrusted them with. Also, on the other side of opposition, let us not just focus with criticizing our own government or pressurizing our Kenyan citizens. Let us also share some ideas to our Kenyans. Let us try to come with a similar ideology that could transform our country to whatever we are being launched today under Vision 2060. Vision 2060, let us support it. It is not for an individual. This is not about now President Ruto. This is about the identity of Kenya. Everyone, each and every generation deserves a better Kenya, and let this Vision 2060 be supported fully. However, the government should not overstrain citizens with a lot of debts, with a lot of taxation, with a lot of stalled projects. Let each and every project be reviewed. Let the people who have been participating in corruption be called on board. Let the agencies, the independent agencies like NCIC, like the ESCC, come out and call all these leaders who are leading our country to a mess. Because the problem that is affecting our nation is none other than poor leadership. And it's not that we don't have leaders. We just have poor leadership and we have corruption. Those two things. The Article 6 of the Constitution integrity is not being upheld at its percentage maximum. And if we go to that, we shall have a better country, and people like me who also, you see, like I want to be a president in multimedia. I know after becoming that president, I'll desire to be a leader in future. I will want to inherit, I would like to inherit a leadership position from our current leaders, where I know that where I am, I cannot take my people back, but I'm taking my people in front.
Fair enough. All right. I want to sample some of your feedback right here on YouTube. Dina Lelit says, when the governor performance is 0, we cannot blame the president. And yet again, he says that, yes, we got 9% because the governor is incompetent. Sisi tunangoja Kato akomboe Kajiado. All right. That's, his views. I want to sample some of your feedback right here on Facebook. Jeffrey Somba says he's watching Emmanuel Deti, Lisueti KE, David Njue, Don Sam, Dasmichiki, Judy Esther, Janet Wanjiko, Kennedy Jumba Sirigo, Calvin's Legso, Joel Kavoy, Commissioner Rafael Orero, HSC, Hidrabad Obore, Noah Muyasia, Oliver Music, Lily Karaoke, Mika, Matthew Oteno, Ogum David, Sammy J, Mish, and of course, just about to name a few. Nasema asante sana for your feedback right here on the program. Mr. Esonga, you have your parting shot even as you wind up?
As I just wind up, is just to tell Kenyans that let's support President William Ruto and give him the second term in office, so that at least by the time my brother Barasa is now going back to the village to become a member of parliament in 2032, he can now inherit a very stable, developed country, courtesy of our God-fearing President, Dr. William Ruto. Thank you.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Mr. Matthew Wesonga is a coordinator, Kumi Bila Break Movement, Kajiado North, and as well as Bethel Baraza was joining us this morning, nationalist and aspiring president, Multimedia University. Gentlemen, thank you so much for making time to be with us here this morning. We were having a conversation in regards to the 4 years on Ruto's scorecard. We were talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And of course, we were dotting the I's and crossing the T's, even as we, conversed on the current state of affairs right here in the 254. Just in case you missed out on this particular conversation, you can actually get that. Our streams are up on Facebook and as well as on YouTube. All right. I'll see you later on in the day at 1 p.m. We're going to continue bringing you up to speed with whatever that it is making headlines from across our 47 counties and as well across our borders and in the world of sports. All right. But until then, God bless. Do have yourself a blessed and productive day ahead. And as always, let's do this again when God says we do.